Hi, this is Brad Dacus. Welcome to the Dacus Report. On this week's show, we're going to interview with a doctor, a psychologist, who's an expert dealing with gender identity dysphoria. The fact is, we have so much in the way of controversy. It seems like it's exploding across the country. Well, we're blessed today to have with us on the show a doctor, Dr. Bridget Melson, to discuss exactly what is gender identity dysphoria and what's the truth and what are the lies. So, Dr. Melson, thank you for being on the program.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Oh, great. Now, Dr. Melson, let me just ask you right up front. You are a psychologist, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I am licensed in 2 states, California and Texas.
And Texas. Well, that's funny. I'm licensed to practice law in 2 states, California and Texas.
Awesome.
Those are 2 good states to choose. I agree. So now you have a ministry called Trinity Life Solutions. Tell us about this ministry. What exactly does it do, and what's your calling?
You know, my calling has always been to work with teens and young adults, no matter what they're going through, from missing to suicidal ideation to addiction to issues with their bodies and their minds. Being these gender issues, I'm seeing a lot more clients that are really dealing with this, and I never thought I'd be called to be working with this, culture and their issues, but because they are brand new. But I am, and I absolutely love it.
Okay, now one of the issues you deal with are students who have gender identity dysphoria. That is, they're 100% biologically, say, a boy, a young man, teenager,
Yeah.
boy, and yet in their mind, they feel and think that they're a female. First off, is that an accurate description? Is this 100% mental condition, or is there some genetic, biological factor coming into play?
Well, here's the deal. I am a Christian, but I'm also a doctor. So I believe in my heart God made us man or woman. There are 2 genders. You're biologically XX, female, or XY, male. Surgery, hormones, psychotherapy, none of that can change that.
So every cell in the body, 100% of all of the billions or trillions of cells, they're all in unanimous agreement as to what your gender is, correct?
Absolutely, and
Okay.
nothing can change that. Yes.
Okay.
So gender identity. See, it used to be called gender identity disorder. Now it's gender dysphoria, according to the DSM-5.
Right.
And then people want to also lump in transgender or gender non-conforming, which is very different. Gender dysphoria is not the same. Gender dysphoria is really that your mind is tricking you. It initially starts with having to do with the mind and not the heart. But nowadays, we're seeing that now that people are taking on that whole binary, non-binary, gender non-conforming, transgender issue, that's a heart issue. So I don't know if that makes sense. But
Now, what do you mean by heart issue? I mean, what's the difference between them in their mind feeling like they're another gender? I don't understand the mind versus the heart.
Yes. So with gender identity disorder, your mind is similar to an anorexic, an eating disorder mind, where you look in the mirror and you see, if you're a female, you see that you're a male, that you are meant to be a man. You like men's things. You want to dress like a man. With the transgender and gender nonconforming and binary, they're kind of on the social media train of be what you want. I just want to be a guy because I can, or I just want to be a woman because I can.
I see.
So that's what I mean.
Okay. Now, when we see this exploding on our high school campuses, I'd say most high school campuses in California, at least, have at least one what you call transgender. Are most of the people who call themselves transgender not really having a dysphoria, but actually just more of a hey, let's try something new. I sort of feel like I might want to be a female. Is that more what we're looking at, or are we looking at a large spread of this dysphoria condition?
I would say half and half. The challenge is definitely, in my practice is to find out what the difference is, and I can usually tell. The difference is a gender identity disorder or gender dysphoria starts at a young age.
Okay, young
So,
age. Okay.
yes, yes. So 2 to 4 years old, even you can see this happening. And I was raised with a friend who actually, well, I wasn't raised with a friend. I used to babysit a young girl who, at 2 years old, kept saying, "I'm a boy, I'm a boy." So I saw this happening, and she ended up getting therapy and finding Jesus and made her way through it and realized that it was her mind telling her the wrong thing.
Okay,
That
but
is
what?
true gender dysphoria.
Okay, why would someone as a young child have this condition? What causes it? If we know it's not genetic or biological, so what would implement this kind of confusion?
That's a great question because the parents even were like, we've never called her a boy, we've never done anything. And just sometimes you just think of tomboys.
Right.
We did call, they did end up calling her tomboy, and it's just that you see the girly girls and you're like, that's not me, so I must be a boy. That's what I see. There's nothing in the brain that's consistent that we see that is going on. But they're definitely, when you get them in and do psychotherapy with them and psychoanalyze them, you do see that these thoughts have started as a young age.
Right.
Very different from the trend we're seeing with teenagers today, that they're just, within the last few years.
Right. Now, as far as the, say, pre-puberty, that young children at that time, I've heard that studies show that the overwhelming majority of these kids, if they're just left alone, even not even given counseling, just left alone, will work through their gender identity issues and not have that dysphoria after they go through puberty, adolescence. And yet we have in our public schools in California, for example, we have laws that says, hey, if a kindergarten boy says that he feels like he's a girl, then the teacher has to allow him to use the girl's bathroom, be called a girl's name, whether the parents like it or not. And how dangerous do you think that is to children for this kind of policy to be massively being implemented as it is right now in California public schools?
Right. That's absolutely ludicrous to me, and I think that's extremely damaging, and I think it's poor parenting, borderlining on abuse, and this is what I do when I work with parents that have small children brought to me that are going through a similar issue. I love the advice that the doctor, the psychiatrist gave this individual I'm talking about that I used to babysit, was call her name and just go on and just say, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry you feel that way. That's fine. Let's go kick a ball around. Let's go, do whatever. Just act like it's normal and not breathe life into that lie." And I think that's I believe that's what's going on. And I do think it's borderline abuse when parents keep that lie going and keep feeding into them. I've even seen several Hollywood, actors and actresses are like, I'm going to let them choose their gender. And that is not gender dysphoria. That is actually, to me, very, very irresponsible.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it. Now, when we talk about high schoolers, how successful is the counseling for helping high schoolers who are dealing with this kind of gender issue or trying to experiment? The world likes to tell us, well, this counseling never works and it's dangerous and destructive. In California, we have a law saying it's illegal to give counseling to those struggling with gender identity or sexual orientation under the age of 18 when they want to break free from that. How effective has your counseling been? What have you actually seen, right there, in the grassroots working with people?
Right. This is partly the reason I was happy to move to Texas out of California.
Yeah.
Excuse me. After practicing for 15 years in California, I was under fire, and I've done other interviews for not being willing to do premarital counseling for same-sex marriages, and then also, I could not talk people out of gender dysphoria and try to help them get on the right path. So here in Texas, it's a little bit different. There is success. If I can get the parents to support them and get a good support system around them, I affirm and reflect and inquire. I treat them with respect and dignity. Yeah. I pray with and for them, and I provide a safe place. But really, it's up to the parents to get behind them and support them. Just like an eating disorder, it's a very slow process.
Right. And you give them love and respect where they are. So this is not in any way of a intimidation deal or where you're telling them that that they don't have value and worth unless they work through this. You're very affirming and encouraging to the people you're helping, which I really believe is the true Christian mode of counseling.
Well, absolutely. God must change their mind and heart. I'm just simply the guide.
Right.
And I look at myself as that. And once they see that, oh, you're a Christian and you're accepting me, you're not accepting this, because
Right.
it's not a sin at this point. Their minds are, just like I wouldn't say anorexia, an eating disorder. It's not a sin.
Right. It's a struggle. It's a challenge. Yeah.
It is a challenge and a struggle. They don't even consider it a mental disorder at this point. Their minds are just not seeing it. And I really, really implore people who are listening to be more accepting, because I think that the revival has to start with us as Christians.
Right, and it starts with love and respect for people where they are. That's the Jesus way. And also being responsible to not ignore it, but also for them to get help from people who have the gift of counseling. Real quick, so people can understand, if they have conflicts in this issue, they have people they know, they want some help. Where can they go to get this kind of assistance and help, no matter what state they're in?
At any time, you can go to my website and fill out the contact form. It is Trinity Life Solutions with an S.com.
Okay.
TrinityLifeSolutions.com. And I can absolutely send them what they need specifically as far as websites, support groups, therapists in their area.
Good.
Since it's different in every state.
Right. And I'm sure you could give them some assistance even just over the phone if they're calling from a state where this kind of counseling is limited. I know we at Pacific Justice Institute have defended counselors. I actually flew into Texas once, Austin, and defended a Christian licensed counselor who was being challenged because of his counseling to those who are struggling with same-sex attraction. And we won, and we got the thing completely shut down as far as the challenge to him. But so these kind of challenges can be anywhere. I want people to know we at Pacific Justice are here to represent you, to serve you if you're a counselor, or if you're someone who wants counseling and need assistance. Don't hesitate to contact us at Pacific Justice Institute for that assistance. And I just want you to know, Doctor, that I really respect you. I appreciate the work you're doing. And I pray for God's fullest blessing on you as you continue to significantly and materially help those who are struggling with something very real in society today. And keep up the great work.
Thank you so much.
Okay, take care.